listening to Zap Night, a video game review podcast. Join your hosts Danny, Kaylie, Seth, and Evan as we review video games from all systems and all genres. Hey guys, and welcome to episode 38 for Zap Night. I'm your host Danny.
And I'm your co-host Kaylie.
Today we are talking about we're talking about Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage. I'm having the worst time.
Final Fantasy Ripto's Rage. Nailed it.
Wow. Wow, great start to the episode. We will be talking about Final Fantasy later. Very minimal. So,
Ripto's Rage is remastered.
Yeah, so before we get started, I did want to talk about that a little bit. Actually, episode 2, I want to say,
something like that.
Is Spyro
early
1.
on.
I'm pretty sure it's episode 2. Episode 1 was Arch Nelico, and episode 2 was Spyro 1. And we loved that game.
Yeah,
I don't remember what we gave it for a score. I don't think it was the best score in the world, but I still really, really love that game. And it did pretty well, like, view-wise and listen-wise. So, of course, bringing back Spyro to play Spyro 2 was a good fit. We specifically played the remastered version, which is why the remastered version is sitting. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see our little setup we got going on. But that's why we have the remastered version out. Specifically, we played the remastered version. But we did pop in the original just to kind of get a feel for what the original was like. And there's a lot of very dramatic differences, to say the least. So, you want to get into it?
Yeah.
Cool.
So, Spyro, well, for Ripto's Rage, the first release was developed by Insomniac Games. And then the remaster that we played was Activision.
Did they like merge? They probably merged.
I don't know. Sure.
Yes, you must be right.
I did my research very carefully.
Last minute. Only because I didn't do it.
So initially it was released on PlayStation, but then they remastered it for PlayStation and Xbox One. And then both the original and the remaster was released in November of 99 and then 2018. So yeah.
Wow.
Cool.
I have to say that basically the remaster version is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that right out of the gate. Remaster version is amazing.
If you watched our playthrough of Spyro, the first Spyro of the remastered one, you let me play the game first, and we loaded up. You hadn't even seen the gameplay at all at that point.
Yeah, because you had played it before I had,
and you were sitting there like, "This is amazing." And I'm like, "Do you want to play first?" You're like, "Yes."
It was. I mean,
yes, I do.
It's just.
It is beautiful.
So a little bit of history on just this episode, what we're talking about. We a few months ago, I want to say maybe December.
Yeah.
I think it was before Christmas. We put in the remaster version and played Spyro 1 all the way through. And yeah, the difference between Spyro 1 and Spyro 1 Remastered is amazing.
I know, it's crazy.
And I'm so used to the graphics and the gameplay of the original Spyro 1 for the PlayStation. So putting this in, it was just
like an episode of like Claritin. Like everything's just clear now.
It was amazing. It was just this like I can't even form words of how awesome it was. Like, for me, having, like, this Spyro 1 was, like, one of my favorites growing up. I mean, you know, Final Fantasy was up there, but I mean, you know, I originally came from the Super Nintendo era, so that's like, you know, Mario and a lot of the platformer games. So then, coming into the PlayStation, I played a lot of Spyro, And so Spyro, we played the crap out of Spyro growing up. I think I still have my original disc, and it's like scratched like crazy.
Scratched to oblivion.
But yeah, so when we put in this remade HD remastered version of Spyro 1, it was just mind-blowing how beautiful it was and how far we've come.
They did an excellent job.
How far we've come in technology to be able to do something like this. So I fully recommend the remastered series. If you're at all fans of any of the Spyro games, or all of them, obviously. But, you know, this really, really is worth your money. So, after we played Spyro 1, we knew that we were going to play Spyro 2, so it was just kind of this way of leading into playing Spyro 2, and that's where we didn't play it together. We both played it separately. We played Spyro 2. So that's what we're talking about, is specifically Spyro 2, very specifically the remastered version, but as I recall, and from what little bit of gameplay we played today of the original Spyro 2, they're nearly identical as far as like gameplay and level design and story.
A lot of stuff.
All that is identical. Really, all they did was update the graphics and re-release it on your new platform. And I respect that so much.
I mean, everything, even down to like the voice, or redoing like script and stuff. It's almost exact.
Right.
So yeah, it is
and really
amazing.
Even the voice actors are, I don't know if they use the same voice actors. I didn't look that far into it, but I mean, they're really, really close, and it's just like, it's so great. They did such a good job. So let's talk about Spyro 2. Spyro 2 starts off with Spyro having just defeated Nasty Norg, and he's looking for a place to retreat. And the land of the dragons, whatever.
Dragon Shores.
No, he's going to Dragon Shores. But he's in the land of the dragons, and it's like rainy and it's gross, and he says, let's take a vacation. We haven't had a vacation. Let's go to Dragon Shores. So Spyro and Sparks tries to go to Dragon Shores. In the meantime, in the world of Avalon, Avalar, something like that. A fawn.
She's a fawn named
Alora, and Hunter is a cheetah.
We don't know what the professor is. I have no idea. The professor is like a hedgehog or something. It's like a face of a hedgehog. I think he's like
human-esque. But they are tinkering with a portal device to bring dragons to their world to help defeat this bad guy who came from another dimension called Ripto. And Ripto has come to their world and is using the power of this like wand orb thing, scepter, to lay claim over the land and control everything. So Ripto is obviously not very happy that they've brought a dragon in. He doesn't like dragons, though he looks oddly like a dragon.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
And it's kind of obviously Alora and the Professor. Hunter is like, we'll talk about Hunter. I have a few theories about Hunter. But Alora and the gang tell Spyro that he has to go and collect talismans and orbs to help defeat Ripto so that he can go back.
Ripto actually destroys the portal.
Right, that's right.
Because he doesn't want any more dragons coming through.
So Spyro can't go back.
They scatter. Alora tells the fairies to scatter these orbs, which open the portal. So they actually scatter. So, he might not have destroyed it, but they did scatter the orbs.
The orbs, right.
I can't remember if it's different in the remaster or not, because it seemed like he destroyed the portal initially, didn't he? Yeah,
but I think that they give you more backstory later.
I see.
Throughout the game, they give you more backstory. From what we played today of the original Spyro 2, they don't go into super detail, but they do elaborate more later.
Right.
So as Spyro progresses, you unlock more worlds, more levels. You defeat... Ripto has two, henchmen
Yeah.
or like
that's
monsters that are with him.
like fellow
Crunk-
dinosaur guys.
Crunk and Glunk. Or
No,
Glup.
Gulp.
Gulp?
Gulp. Because he gulps up his scepter. He gulps up everything.
That's right. No, and I said the other Clunk and Grunk. We're just gonna make up names from here on out.
Pull the lever!
Let me try that again. It's Crush and Gulp.
This podcast. At 38. We had 38 tries and we're still not getting it
Hey, you know
straight.
what? It's entertaining, okay?
But
So,
yes, he's got
anyway,
these henchmen.
Crush and Gulp. And in between, like, home hub worlds, you have boss battles. First with Gulp.
I believe it's
No, it's Crush.
Yeah.
Crush first, then you fight Gulp, then you fight Ripto.
Right.
And yeah, I mean that's pretty much the end. Once you beat Ripto, do you send him? I don't remember the end now that I think about it. Do you send him back to his world or something? It seems like you use the professor uses all the orbs to send Ripto back to his world.
I believe they all go back, yes.
And then you have to collect so many more orbs to get to Dragon Shores. And then once you get to Dragon Shores, then you have to collect literally everything to unlock everything in Dragon Shores.
You get access to this like carnival area too, which I actually really like. That was pretty cool. I didn't collect everything. You said you 100%.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
I only 100%ed the first one. I still have to finish the flight levels.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much the story. Now, that's the main story. And going into the story segment, what I liked about this game that very much changes from the first game is that the story in each level, there was like a micro story there. And that was a lot of fun. That was really neat.
I liked how some levels referenced other levels. Like, there was 2 levels that were like at war with each other.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
The
pretty
like
cool.
pelicans versus like, oh man, I can't remember the other ones. It was like the birds. I
Yeah,
think,
so
that like
there's-
bird level with like the little mud people. I don't know. They were like these little mud guys, like bucket helmets. I think.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, there was a couple of strange guys. That
Oh, there was a lot of strange.
They had a lot
creatures.
of different.
And that's what was cool too, is that every level had their own like people.
Yeah.
And they had their own enemies, and they had their own like the
little tiny little guys, the butterfly guys.
Yeah, the butterfly guys.
The fodder.
Yeah, the enemies that you killed to get more health.
Right.
And every world they were a little bit different. Like some of them they kind of reused the mini
Yes, yeah,
guys,
like
but
sheep and frogs and stuff. But then you'd have like penguins and
yeah, they had a
fish,
whole
bugs,
slew of different
Fodder.
things. And I didn't even write that down for the graphics, but I mean that's definitely in there too.
Well, they have definitely
And,
variety.
I mean, we're talking about this. This isn't just the HD remake. All this stuff is included in the
right.
original as well. So, I mean, as far as my score for the story, really
reflects
on
too.
both games. Absolutely reflects
Right.
on both games. I mean, they put a lot of thought into it. But I did I had a few downfalls. Some of the concepts that they had as far as like getting Spyro to their world was a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, to
And,
just
like-
find a dragon happened to be passing through a portal.
Yeah.
That's a little farce.
And like the professor's role overall was like,
man.
it was like they just needed a character that could do this like fanciful stuff.
Yeah, I suppose. One of my problems was that I was really hoping that Ripto would have a tiny bit more backstory because
Yeah.
he's an important character.
You have no idea where he came from or what he's doing or what he
And
wants.
I kind of understood why you wouldn't give backstory to like Elora and Hunter because that was their homeworld. Like they really didn't need a whole lot of backstory. But Ripto, the bad guy, always needs a backstory. Why is he bad? Why does he hate dragons? Because he just says he hates dragons. Well, why?
Okay, so my theory on that is that he came from a world where dragons were more prominent and maybe really bad dragons. And because he's so tiny,
Maybe.
I think that he was happy to go to a different world where he could be the bad guy and he could rule. So that's kind of my theory. I don't know, but I mean, it's a good concept. Like, you know, because he's like just this short little guy. So I could see where he would want, you know, this power and to be dominant over another world, you know.
I suppose, but it wasn't.
But I mean, it's not elaborated in the game.
I was gonna say, like, they didn't really even give you much to really work with to have form your own theory. Like, there really isn't much other than he's tiny and he has these two other goons with him.
Yeah, I know.
And he's got the two goons with him, so I mean, I feel like they could still beat up like the dragons that they had in Spyro's world.
Right.
They definitely could beat up Spyro. I mean, well, he tried, but you know what I mean. Like, size-wise, they're about the same.
Right.
So I don't know. But I really wish, he would have had more of a backstory or something to really.
There was also no sense of urgency in this game.
Yeah.
Like, at no point did you feel like, oh my gosh, I have to collect this stuff, otherwise this world is gonna blow up.
Well, not only that.
It was just like, yeah, you need to do it, but I mean, at your own pace.
What was, other than, like, throwing, like, people out, you've seen throw money bags out of a building, like, once, and, like, the flags changed, but what was he actually doing? There was no, like, bombing going on. There was no, like, destruction. It was just, like... There were, I guess, there were enemies everywhere taking hold of these worlds, but they really didn't tie that to Ripto, specifically.
Again, it goes back to, it was, like, there was no sense of urgency. Like, you know, it was really just a backstory to give Spyro a reason for doing what he's doing, but it was just, like, kind of meh.
See, I agree, but it's kind of contradicting for me because I feel like I liked that it was different than the first one, like drastically different.
Right.
Like the bad guy, it was a completely different story, and that's what I liked about this.
It wasn't like Nasty Nork comes back,
right?
Because that would be boring. That would be the same characters over again.
Because you know, the first one you're trying to save the dragons, with this one you're finding orbs and saving a different world, and that's different and still the same at the same time. And I appreciated
in each level, you're saving those people in each level. Like, you know, one level the wizards are taking over, you know, the town and, you know, harming the other, like, mini wizards, you know, so you go and you are destroying the wizards to get their wands back or whatever.
On the first one, you had a lot of the Norks trying to, like, taking over the levels and stuff, and so I understood why they tied in with Nasty Nork, but the first one, there was no, like, indication that these bad guys in these worlds were necessarily working for Ripto or under, I mean, it was just these three came to this world, and now they take over? Like, there was no taking over, they took over a building. So what, we gotta find the orbs to kick them out? It just didn't make... there was no more backstory to that. I wish there was more, you know? It just kind of was it was a unique fill, but an easy fill, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So what'd you give it for
a
score?
I still gave it a really high 9.
I gave it an 8.
I thought about giving it an 8, but I just... Because they didn't do what I expect most games to do, which is Nasty Nork's back. Because they didn't do that, I appreciated it so much more.
I think that the reason why I gave it an 8 was because the rest of the game is so good that the only spot that needed the most improvement would be the story. I think out of the rest of the game, the story needed probably the most improvement. And I mean, really, it's not that bad. I mean, you're still getting a great story out of it. I mean, it's fun. It's fun for the kids. You know, it gives you a reason for being there, and it gives you something to, you know, it does give you, you know, people to fight for. It's just not as urgent as...
Right. Well, like the first one especially.
Yeah, the first one, you know, all these dragons are in danger, and it's up to you, this one lone dragon, to go and save everyone.
Right.
So, you know, yeah, definitely. Now, before we move on, I want to talk about Hunter.
Hunter?
Because...
His wide smile.
No, that's not what I'm talking about, but yeah, it is really creepy. I kind of think that Hunter is working for Ripto.
Okay, go on. I'm intrigued.
So, if you play the game from the beginning and you kind of are looking out for that, it kind of seems like Hunter is strategically misleading Spyro or misleading like the whole group in favor of Ripto. And I mean, even as far as like when when Spyro came in, he's like, oh, you know, like, what's the dragon doing here? Like, and then like he couldn't even find his running shoes, which would have like helped them clearly because he can do all this stuff, but yet he conveniently forgot his running shoes, so he can't go through the levels and collect the orbs, right? He can't go and do the talismans.
Well, he did do the orbs. He did collect a couple.
Well, see, and that's part of it too. What is he doing with all these orbs? He's not helping me any. He's like, I secretly have this orb, and if you collect all of the gems, I'll give you an orb. Like, why do you have the orb? You're supposed to be helping me here.
I appreciate your theory. However, the way I interpreted it was that he was trying to be better in Laura's eyes, like he was the hero, because I don't remember how much it was in the remaster, but in the original, she kept kind of like, Ripto, or excuse me, Hunter, why didn't you chase after him? And he's like, well, because he's kind of a coward. Which, again, it does still support your theory. However, I think he's a coward, but he doesn't want people to know it.
Maybe, yeah.
And they're all trying to collect these orbs, technically. So it could be that, you know, they in the background, they are also submitting their own orbs, but, you know, you're collecting what you have.
I think
when you collect the orb that he collected, you're taking the fame from him.
Right, yeah.
I think that's what it's supposed to be like.
I think what really kicked this idea off was when I was fighting Ripto, you know, Hunter is like flying around the arena and dropping the orbs for you to pick up to power up. 90% of the time, he dropped them right in front of Ripto. Like, here you go, Ripto, kill the dragon for me. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? I'm like, this is a bunch of crap.
Conspiring.
So then it's like, then I started rewinding in my head, and I'm like, wait a minute. He's been against me the whole time. I think that he's working for Ripto.
There was an awful lot of competition, so I agree. I feel like both theories are correct.
You can see where I'm coming up with this.
I really think it was really, though, it was competition, because it's a dragon.
Sure,
you know,
I'm not 100% serious.
I like it. I thought it was cute, but
the thought was there. It crossed my mind, and I
appreciated it.
I don't know about this. I don't know about this guy. Oh man, good times. So
speaking of Hunter, them graphics.
Oh yeah, the graphics. So I gave it a 10 out of 10 for graphics. Now keep in mind,
we're talking about the remaster.
We're talking about our current experience of this game. Our current experience is the remaster version. We did play the original, and if I had played the original, I wouldn't be giving it a 10 out of 10 in the graphics area. Specifically, the characters look pretty bad in the original. Like, I can see that they put a lot of effort into it, and when you consider how many characters, not just the main characters like Hunter and Alora and all them,
the little world,
but
characters.
every world had their own characters. I mean, you start compiling all that, and there's a lot of data in there, a lot of characters that they've had to build. But that said, they did a lot of shortcut stuff in the original that was like cringeworthy.
The eyes
in that, like,
they like
when they blinked, they like shrunk and resized. It was really weird.
We were dogging on it pretty well when we did our playthrough of it, really quick playthrough of it, and yeah, it was
very
pretty cringy. Yeah.
Now that said, overall, in both games, especially the remaster, obviously, but the game really is beautiful. I mean, they put so much work into this game, and you can really tell the developers of this game had a lot of passion for what they were doing.
They took care of this game. It
looks so good, and even the original, like the world, the atmosphere looks just amazing. And then on top of it, you've got all the characters that you're doing. You've got all the effort of the mini games for all the orbs.
Right, yeah.
I mean that's more gameplay, but still the effort put into it for, you know, all the animations for all that.
They pushed this game back a couple months.
The remaster?
After they announced, when they came out with the release date, they actually pushed it back a couple months. And while I was disappointed, at the same time, we loved this game, so we wanted them to be as perfect as they could be.
I usually have that feeling about most games.
I'm really glad that they took care of this, though.
If a developer has the need to push a game back a few months, I understand. I want the game to be just as good as you do. Like, I would prefer you to prolong it and have it be that much better than to just force it out and release it on this quick, timeline.
Like what they did with the first.
Yeah.
What it looks like they did with the first one. No,
so it's like, I really prefer them to take their time and do it good. But yeah, the only bad thing I think I put on here as far as the HD remake version of it is the climbing animation looks really weird.
It was always weird, but
I think it was just because you're supposed to be like climbing the wall, but it really just looks like you're vertical and you're just walking.
Yeah,
like
I understand.
And you're walking like extremely slow. So it just
did have a problem
ended up
with
weird.
I didn't think it was weird though. Honestly, I have no complaint about the graphics.
I mean, that was my only bad thing. I still gave it a 10.
Yeah,
but it was like, if I was going to complain about anything, that would be it. Like, I would really prefer to have some sort of like claw, like actual, like a different type of animation than just like the normal walking sprite just up the wall.
It's hard to do though because he's on all fours.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Maybe just like stretch him out and have his arms a little bit more stretched out so he's actually climbing. I don't know. I'm not a game developer. I have no idea. But, I felt like that animation just seemed a little off for the rest of the game.
Speaking of animations, I appreciated the idle animations. Were you idle at times?
Well, yeah. I mean, Sparks specifically.
Sparks does do...
I know it's hard to say.
Sparks does specific things, like he smiles at the camera.
Yeah, I think at one point he zooms in really close and he like waves or something, or like he just smiles.
Spyro does this really cute thing though. One of the many cute things he does, but he sneezes and it goes. Whew,
oh yeah, I have seen that one.
And it like burns the grass.
Yeah, I have seen that one.
I love that so much. I don't know if it's in the original or not, but I loved it. And it was, in fact, I love whenever you torched anything, the grass would singe.
Yeah.
And I loved that.
And that's only in the HD remaster. Now, they did do a few of that in the original Spyro 2, where like
stuff would like
some stuff would kind of singe a little bit. And that's, nice, but the HD remaster like takes that to the next level.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, it all comes back super fast, so it's not like this permanent thing, but it's like it's
a nice effect.
You blow fire on the grass and it's like it torches it, and it like even has that like red like
the glow,
burny
embery,
yeah, it's cool.
It's satisfying to
it is, yeah.
Too. Oh, it's so smooth.
I remember how the first one, when you blow fire, it was like these like cone like spikes would come out, and that kind of indicated what you were hitting, and I liked that. And it was kind of weird going to the HD remaster of it, where it was like just flame and you kind of had to guess what the flame was hitting. So there was a little bit of that, but I mean, it wasn't enough to be like a complaint. It was just like I would prefer to have realistic flames than these like cones that are coming out.
I noticed it mostly in the first one. We're talking about the second one, but a couple of the level remakes it changed everything for me. And I'm going to talk about the first one just a tiny bit, but the swamp land specifically, I hated that world just because it looked gross and everything. And it still was, it was a swamp, of course, but it made the experience so much better.
Yeah.
But in the remake, a lot of those worlds, like a couple of the like futuristic robotic-y worlds, they look so much better, so much more beautiful, and just the level remakes, comparing them between past and future, is amazing to me.
Oh yeah,
they've been so good on remaking a lot of those.
What I really appreciate, and we've said it already, but is that they took it one for one. Like, it's so exact. It's just upgraded.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I really, really appreciate that. Now, that said, it's kind of sad that I'll never really want to play the original Spyro 1 again.
I know, that's kind of what I was thinking when we were playing Ripto's Rage. I'm like, I don't want to play this anymore.
Yeah, like, I don't want to play the first one ever again because the new one is out. I mean, I still have a soft spot in my heart for the original, and I love playing the original games on the original hardware, but this game just takes all of that to that graphical level that I expect anymore, to the point where I'm never going to want to play the original again.
I gave graphics a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
However, I like to segue into gameplay because that was one of my things too, is it plays so nicely that of course you would naturally favor, because some games you like to go back for the nostalgia and whatnot.
Yeah.
But this game really, because it is so almost exact,
I'm gonna say,
why not play the remaster version?
If you've never played Spyro, you don't need to pick up this game for your nostalgia fix. This is a great game regardless if you know what is going on or not. This is just a great game. Like, the remaster, the whole trilogy. I mean, it's so beautiful.
Entire trilogy.
The stories are great. The gameplay is great. It's fun to collect everything. I mean, when you're gameplay specifically, you've got all these worlds. You have all these collectibles, and when you beat a level, basically you get to the end of the level, and they open the gate to go back to the home world. If you haven't 100%ed it, you kind of feel like there was more to get. Like, I should have went back and got the rest of it. And then you do, because you can't help it. You want to 100% this game. This game really does a good job of making you want to find and hunt down everything.
What I have found is that, especially comparing the remake with the new one,
the original to the remake,
with the original to the remake, is, for one thing, Ripto's Rage was a slightly bit more difficult than the first one, not by much, but it was a little more difficult.
Yeah.
The levels were a little longer. I still feel like, though, that this is a great game to play with your kids.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like a kid could play this, an adult. We had fun playing it. This was a date night thing for me and my husband. Sure. We just would pass it off, and, what I couldn't do, he did, and what he couldn't, just back and forth.
And it's fun to be like, the most frustrating thing about this game is having that one gem.
Man, how many times? How many levels?
I know you have that one gem. So,
where are you?
Going back to what you're saying about having someone else that you're playing with and passing the controller back and forth, just replaying the level, with a different set of eyes looking at it, sometimes that's all it needs to be like, oh, there it is. Right. You just missed this one corner.
It's always at the beginning.
I know.
Always.
I know it.
If you can't find one gem, go to the beginning.
Go to the beginning.
It's the first step you should always
take. And you look in that, like, you gotta look at every little crevice to find it.
In the grass.
Yep. I did 100% this game.
I only did the first one so far.
I not only 100%ed, like, I found everything and I collected everything the game wanted. I also did all the trophies.
Oh, we did too.
I didn't do all the skill points, though.
We did all the skill points. We did everything for the first one, and it was the first platinum we'd gotten.
Yeah. For the second one, because me and you played the first one together,
right.
And after I 100%ed the second one, I'm like, well, I'm gonna go back and 100% the first one too. So I've started that. I haven't completed it, but it's one of those games, and this for sure falls under gameplay. You can pick it up anytime. Like, once you have the basic skills of, how to play it, you can literally pick it up anytime. It doesn't matter how long it is between. It doesn't matter how long you want to sit down and play. You just throw it in for, you got an hour to spare. Just throw it in and play a couple levels. And when that hour's up, you just turn it off and you do whatever you're going to do, It's so nice for that. That's all. That's all. Yeah, it's great.
Well, I would like to also mention that I felt like the mini games were a lot smoother / easier. I felt like I could do a majority of them by myself because I'm not very good. I'm not a very good gamer. I'm not gonna lie. Anything I can't do, I make my husband do. But I found myself being able to do a lot of the mini games. In fact, I found myself being better at some of those mini games than my husband.
I think that the biggest thing that helps is that the HD remaster version of it is smoother with the controls.
Absolutely. Well, as we found playing it recently, the old one recently.
We're talking about the HD remaster, almost like we're sponsored. We are not sponsored by this game whatsoever.
This game was just amazing.
It's just legitimately a good game. Like, I would never say good things about a game that I didn't genuinely feel like deserved it, and this game really, really does.
The only bad thing I have to say about gameplay, and it's my own personal thing, is I don't like the flying levels, and I never really liked them in the first one either. That's a lot better now. However, I'm glad that it's not necessary to beat the game, because I didn't like them.
Yeah.
It is if you want 100% it, which is fine. That's fair game. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I feel like it shouldn't even knock against the score, because it isn't necessary to beat the game. But I really didn't like the flying levels.
The few things that by the way, gameplay, I gave it a 9.
I gave it a 10.
I gave it a 9, and the few things that I could say that it could use some improvement, the upgrades, as far as gameplay mechanics, don't change that much between the first two games. Like, I think the only ones that really change as far as gameplay mechanics is the mini games, which is really, really awesome. But then, like, the dragon upgrades that you can do. So, like, in any level, you can get an upgrade to fly, or you can upgrade to, like, use a power shot, or you can get an upgrade to bounce.
You didn't like that?
I liked it, but I don't think that it was enough. Like, I don't really know what they could have done more, but I just feel like that it was almost too similar to the first game, gameplay-wise.
I don't know, I didn't mind it. I liked it because I liked seeing it when he would get the super, like, flame, he would change,
yeah, that was cool.
Stuff that he would change. It is kind of cheap, I guess, but he's still a baby dragon, so he can't have all those things yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it took away from it. I thought it was nice. I mean, to knock against it for the remaster, you're knocking it against for also the original. Because the original had a lot of the supercharges.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying that the supercharges were bad. What I'm saying is that the supercharges weren't the differences between the first two games are not drastic enough for a whole second game. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Sure.
But then the other thing is that the water maneuvers were really difficult.
Yeah.
Like, just maneuvering through the water in general was difficult. Also, they didn't have nearly enough of it.
See,
it's like, it's kind of
I agree. However, I liked swimming. That was on my good notes, because I liked swimming.
It contradicted itself. Like, there was not enough swimming, but I didn't really like the swimming mechanics.
You know what I liked about swimming was the execution of diving and coming out of the water.
Yeah, and they did that really well. Yeah. And they did that really well in the original game too. But it was like what they did instead is, like, the levels that they didn't want you swimming around in the water, they just, like, turned it pink, or they turned it, like, red. And there was, like, the ice levels, it was pink, and it's like, oh, no, the pink goo, you don't want to step in the pink goo. So, I mean...
I get it, but...
there was... I don't know, I'm gonna be honest, I'm nitpicking. For sure. I really am.
I'm usually the one who's nitpicking, and I give it a 10.
I felt like it... Obviously, I really feel like in most games, the gameplay can be better. And I feel like this game is no exception. The gameplay could have been better in small aspects, but overall, I mean, really, sure. I'm giving it a 9. It's a great score. It's a great game. You're not going to have any, you're not going to see any graphical issues. There were a few, like, weird quirks that happen sometimes, like,
I had
glitch-wise.
Quite a few glitches. Yeah. I had one where I was in a supercharge, I, like, fell into the sky, past the barrier, and was on the other side of the barrier. And eventually it did push me back out, which was fine because I wasn't in a great place to really be off exploring, because I would have knocked me off the world.
I love when that happens.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have that luxury. But then the other one, I was fighting Ripto. Brandon was fighting Ripto. And at one point, he jumps on top of like a robotic gulp, I think, or something like a robotic one.
Yeah.
And when he did that, there was another Ripto running around. And
like off of him? Or
Ripto was on top of the machine, but then another Ripto was running around. And I thought initially when we did, because it was the first playthrough, initially I thought...
Maybe that's part of it?
Well, I thought maybe the one on top of the machine gulp was also machine, and that he was really running around doing all this, but no, he was still playing from the first round. And after we played it through again, I was like, oh, that was a glitch.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a whole lot, I guess, in retrospect, but it was... I didn't put it in my score because I knew that that was something that's probably been fixed by now. You know, it's one of those things, because when we got the game, we played it almost right away, you know, everything.
Yeah, I can't say they've had any updates since I played it last.
We have not been able to recreate it since. It was just one of those flukes, but it was interesting, honestly. I liked the glitch. That was funny.
I had a glitch where, you know the Satyr Village one? Where all the, like, satyrs play the flute to, like, blow off the chunks of rock off the center castle.
Yes.
That level, there was a rock guy who, like, glitched himself into a pillar, and because he did that, it made one of the mini games impossible.
Oh no!
Because there's a mini game where you have to, like, ram the rock guys out of the way so that the little goat
alchemist,
the little goat alchemist guy could, like, go around and save Hunter. Who conveniently was stuck or something. Anyway,
all part of Ripto's plan.
Because I couldn't knock that guy because he was, like, glitched into the wall, it made that spot, like, impossible. I had to, like, leave and come back for that guy to, like,
I didn't have any of
glitch
that.
himself. But there was, like, two of them there. So it was like I couldn't knock the one, and me trying to get the other one would, like, the other one would hit me, so it was like there wasn't anything I could do. But
so music?
No, not yet.
It was too premature.
The only other thing really is that it was nice after you get 100% and you open up that door. Do you want me to tell you what's behind that door? Do you know what's behind that door?
Yeah.
You know what's behind that door?
In the village?
No, in
Oh, you're talking about
in Dragon Shores.
Oh, well, yeah. Go ahead.
When you 100% it, you get all the gems, you get all the orbs. You open up this door in Dragon Shores that has an infinite flame, and the flame, it's the infinite, like, power shot flame, and you can use it everywhere. It's just indefinite. You just always have the power shot flame, which is pretty cool. I don't know.
Huh,
it's fun to play with. Like, you can go into some of those worlds and just decimate everything, like, in a second.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, let's go on to gameplay. I gave it a 9. Oh, yeah, sorry, music.
I also gave it a 9.
I gave it a 9.
One of the things that... I was sitting there trying to think about the music, and I could recall music in my head.
Yeah, it's not very memorable.
However, yes, it isn't very memorable. And I was sitting there thinking, like, did they reuse the music in the second one? Because I can't remember. So the music was good, obviously, especially for the first one, but I couldn't really remember the difference between the first one and the second one.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was kind of the one knock I had.
That was what I said. It's very similar. It's great, just like the first one's great, but it's not memorable like the first one's memorable. Like, it's very similar to the first one, but it's not, like, catchy quite like the first one was.
I liked the sound effects, especially the mystical sound effects, because the whole world is kind of mystical and whatnot. But yeah, like, the orbs had the sound effect, like the ding. They had that in the original too, to be fair. But yeah,
the gems kind of jingle a little bit. Yeah. You can kind of hear them out there. All the characters' voice acting was really, really well done.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I really have no complaints as far as
really
music. I mean, other than not being very memorable, which is kind of a big hit. But
it wasn't really annoying, though.
No, it wasn't annoying.
It's one thing to have repetitive annoyingness.
Yeah.
Where the music was perfectly fitting for this game. It fit the game's...
There was a couple levels where I went in and I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember this song.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't remember much of anything else, but it was like, that song, I remember that song.
The chanting.
That one and the Seder Village one.
Yeah,
I remember that one
true.
really well.
I liked just, this game has its own aesthetic, and the music matches that aesthetic.
Yeah,
it's perfect for it.
Yeah.
I think everything about it is its own thing. It's Spyro.
Yeah.
And that's what you really want in a game, It's unique to itself.
That aesthetic kind of follows it through the series. So Spyro 1,
Right.
and it keeps up with Spyro 2, and I'm sure it moves... I haven't played Spyro 3, so I wouldn't know. But, it kind of keeps that, like, very airy, very crystally kind of music sound. I don't know. So overall, I give it a 10 out of 10.
Me too.
Again, what we've been saying this whole episode, great game, great graphics.
Play it.
The HD remake is amazing. There's really no need to play the original, I would say. Like,
no, I mean, if
you have it,
if it's
still a great game.
Nostalgic to you, obviously you're gonna take the time. But I really think that this is a game that I'm okay with it replacing the original.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to me.
Yeah,
it's weird for me to admit that because I'm such a purist.
Well, and remember it this way too. It is almost exactly the same thing. It's just the graphics are updated.
Right, but I don't feel
tweaks.
I don't feel that same way about like Final Fantasy 1. Like, I would prefer to play the original Final Fantasy 1 on the Nintendo, but like,
Never again.
No, I get it, but I'm just saying for example.
Right, I understand.
But like, I feel like this is different, and I think it might just be that PlayStation era. Like the PlayStation era where you got the 3D graphics, they did it the best they could at the time, but it's not quite there, where now it is. And now they look amazing.
It was just so beautiful.
Yeah, their HD remake just looks amazing. Just amazing.
This is a great game for like, if you need like a therapeutic game to just play, just something to just play.
It's so nice to just kind of veg out.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Just play the game for what it is.
This was great for date nights. Just passing off the controller and just
and you don't have to have the story behind it. Like literally, if you've been playing the game for, several hours and you want to have a date night with somebody, you have them come over and you can just pick it up and say, okay, here's the gist of the controllers, let's go, You don't have to have the background story. You don't have to have, any previous knowledge of the old games or anything. You just play it and veg out and have fun and, let the day's problems be behind you, just play a game.
Yeah.
And this game is perfect for that. It's very few times do you feel frustrated, very few times do you have an annoyance, unless you're doing something very specific that you're having problems with. There was a level where there was like kangaroos that you had to...
Oh yeah, those are annoying. If you're trying to 100% the game, it's completely different.
Yeah,
if you're just playing,
I agree.
If you're like just collecting all the gems, or just enjoying the game, if you're not like hardcore into it, even then, but yeah, if you're not hardcore into it, this is a great game just to chillax, play, and
Plus, they have like several save files, so like you
can play whatever one you want.
Just on your account alone, you could play several different times and have different different levels of completedness on each file. So it's like and that each file is all 3 games. So it's like you can have 3 different people plus you can have different accounts in the systems themselves. I don't know.
You haven't played the third one? I didn't play the third one before this came out, and I wish I would have, because the third one has been great so far. I haven't finished it. We've only gotten like part of the way through, but it's been great.
I've never played the third one. I thought I beat the second one before when I was a kid. Nope.
Yeah, nope. I don't think I did either, because I don't remember fighting Ripto the way I fought Ripto.
I didn't either. It seems like I maybe fought like Gulp and killed Gulp and thought, well, I beat the game. And then that was it. I washed my hands of it and was done. So when I played it again, I'm like, I don't remember any of this. So it blew my mind. But yeah, it's a great game, you guys. Great game. Go play it. If you've got it, I hope you're having fun. Like we're having fun. So I give it a 46 out of 50.
48 out of 50.
So that's a 94 out of 100. That's an A. First day of the year.
Really?
Yep.
It deserved it.
It really did. It really, really did. So, let's quickly talk about our thrift shop game. It is Play with the Teletubbies.
Loved this game.
Played it on the PlayStation. It was scratched to oblivion, but it still played. It was all right. I mean, if you've got little kids, if you got really little kids that are interested in the Teletubbies, this is a great game to just pick up and play, because you didn't have to have, there was no like input that was incorrect. Like, you could just give them the controller that can push buttons, and the buttons do stuff.
I'll tell you what.
And it doesn't matter.
My kid loves Teletubbies. The Teletubbies are constantly playing. It's background music. Yeah. It's whatever, and he's learning words off of it, and we play it when he, like, if we go shopping or something, he's got something to
You
look
think
at.
he would be able to navigate that?
I don't know if they'll be able to navigate it, but I think I can put him to a certain part and let him continuously play it.
Being able to push the buttons is what's fun.
Right.
And the buttons do stuff. So it's like, it's not just like handing a kid a blank controller. It's handing them a game and letting them push the buttons, and the buttons do stuff.
Right.
And if you're controlling and interacting with the Teletubbies, if that's something that your kid really, really likes, that's fun.
I mean, it looked pretty darn awful.
It did look pretty bad. It was a PlayStation 1 game. What do you expect?
What was important to me, especially if I don't think I will honestly let him play, but maybe when he's a little older. But if you want to set your kid in front of this game to play with Teletubbies or whatever, we were having problems figuring out how to exit a segment that continuously replayed, which is great if you don't want your kid, like when he uses my phone. If he uses my phone, he's going to touch all the buttons.
He's going to find that one combination of buttons that's going to like exit out of the game or exit out.
And that makes him mad.
Yeah,
so I have to find a way to lock my phone and all
So this is a great way to not have to worry about that.
You don't have to worry about it. It's a great way if you need like 10 minutes to go freaking do the dishes and laundry. Set your kid in front of this is terrible advice for your infant child, but well, he's not an infant.
Well, I mean, you've got, the only problem is the controller. Like, you got to have a durable controller, because if you're giving your toddler a controller, they're going to whatever. I mean, the biggest problem right now is probably finding this game. I mean, it's a PlayStation 1 game. It's kind of on the obscure side.
Does it have a kid's rating for this? See, here's the thing.
You got me. I don't know.
I don't know. To me, Teletubbies...
Rated C for early, or EC for early childhood.
Well, there you go.
So yeah, I mean, it is.
So, the Teletubbies to me does not seem like it's geared towards 5-year-olds. However, when I've been looking for stuff for my child, who's not even 2 yet, there are 5-year-olds that liked the Teletubbies at the time of the review of the product.
Yeah.
So, I guess on the flip side, if your kid does still enjoy Teletubbies is not a thing right now.
Right.
However, it is for my child. But to be honest, I was humored by this. It was cute. It was really cute. I had low hopes for it.
I could see next time Joshua's over, we'll have to set him down and see if he plays it.
He'll probably love it and then want to play it all the time instead of watching the Teletubbies. The best part was that in the show they have little kids running around, like a live segment, and it had it in this.
I know.
It was
random too, because we went into that segment and the game like froze, and we thought, well, that's it, because it's so scratched that we thought that it just stopped. So then once it did finally kick back on, it was like, oh my gosh, this is like a live like video. And it was really, really interesting. Yeah. If this sounds interesting at all, go to our YouTube channel. There's a link in the description. You can find our live or our gameplay footage of it. So yeah, absolutely go there, check it out if it sounds at all fun. If you want to know where you can find it, I don't know. You might be able to check like eBay or something. Otherwise, there's other ways of playing some of these older retro style games. So look it up, find it if it sounds interesting. Otherwise, just enjoy us playing it, because it really wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. So before we wrap this episode up, next episode is on February 15th, and that's going to be Team 7 reviewing Smash Brothers Ultimate on the Switch. Ooh. So that's a brand new game. That'll be fun. After that, we are in the middle of currently playing Final Fantasy V.
Not 4.
Not 4, 5. Final Fantasy V. So last episode with Lori on Pokemon, I revealed that we were playing Final Fantasy V, and then I was, oh man, I'm actually playing Spyro. So we are officially next month, March 1st, we will be talking about Final Fantasy V. We're playing it on all of our social media, so check that out. If it sounds interesting, you can maybe catch me live playing it. Otherwise, on our YouTube channel, I've got all the previous gameplays and all the Final Fantasy stuff. I've played Spyro, the remastered Spyro, all that's on our YouTube channel as well. Go over there, subscribe. It really really does help us out. So if you could do that for us, even if you don't even go to YouTube very much or whatever, just help us out. Send us a subscribe. That would be great. So thank you all so much for watching. Any final thoughts?
Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy. Good final thought. All right, guys. We will see you guys next time.
Bye.